Hello everybody, it's Foxy speaking, and welcome to another episode of Foxy's Fun Inspirational Chats. And today I will be your host. And in this episode, this is the very final episode part installment of the Croatian holiday story, which myself, David Scott and Sue Vecchio fictionally undertook, as said before. This is part 6, and making this the 6th and final installment of the the fictional Croatian holiday story installments within the Foxy's Fun Inspirational Chat series and all the rest of it, you know. So yes. The day had come. It was the final day of being in Croatia, because the first morning myself, David Scott and Sue Vecchio were to be heading straight to the Zagreb International Airport from our hotels and youth hostels we were staying in. So I got up once the alarm went off at 6 o'clock in the morning, had a shower, brushed the teeth, and got dressed. Unfortunately, I packed up all my bags. I packed up my suitcase, as I only took the suitcase with me, which had my computer I put in, telephone and computer charger, and clothes I put in, and one spare pair of shoes, which I managed to pack up as well, and a wash bag and everything. So I packed all of that up, and once that was all packed up, I went down to the food hall to have the breakfast, and obviously went to the reception to sign at the reception, sign out, handed over the room keys after I cleaned up the hotel room, handed it over to the receptionist, and said thank you, and the receptionist was like, "Thank you for your stay, I hope you had a nice time." I was like, "Thank you very much, it was an enchanted and pleasant holiday," I said. And so I subsequently left the Zagreb in Croatia hotel. As I walked out of the hotel, outside of the hotel entrance, there was David Scott and Sue Vecchio with their wheeled suitcases packed up, as they were all certainly far more than ready to get to the Zagreb International Airport. Though we had time, but obviously we had to go through these security checks and get checked in and all that. "Morning, matey, morning, Foxy," David said as we shook hands. "Time to go home now, mate," he said. "Oh yes, David, it certainly is." "Hi, Foxy," Sue said, and we both gave each other a nice friendly hug. And she was like, "It's time to go home now, Sue," as David said. I said, "I know, it just breaks my heart that it's just the last time. It's the very last day and we're going straight to the airport on our last day," Sue said. "But we had a wonderful holiday. I just hope it's not too long before our next holiday," Sue said. And so after we had a little friendly chat, we picked up the nearest taxi cab vehicle nearest to us in order to go to the Zagreb International Airport. Fortunately, it did not take too long via taxi, as we were going very, very early in the morning. And as there was still time yet before there was a hell of a lot of commuting traffic around in the Zagreb. And so, before long, we arrived. My apologies. Before long, we arrived at Zagreb International Airport, got out of the taxi cab, and the taxi driver kindly took out our luggage for us, and And we said our thanks and paid our fare to the taxi driver, and we walked into the Zagreb International Airport to go through security checks before we catch our flight and all that. So we arrived at Zagreb International Airport, and we got all our security, and we all got checked through with our luggage checked, our security checked, everything checked. Fortunately, we did not carry anything suspicious, so we were okay for the get-go. And so we wandered around the airport and checked the destination boards for our flights. Our flight was to be half an hour after the departure of Vecchio's flight, which was going to be on an American Airlines flight. And before long it was time for us to say goodbye to Vecchio. Vecchio, getting all very teary, said her friendly goodbyes to myself and David and gave both of us a great big hug. And we both gave her a great big hug, wishing her a safe and soundly flight back to the United States of America. And Vecchio, all teary, said, "I love both of you. I hope you two have a nice flight back to the UK, Foxy and David," Sue said as she was all teary and tearing up, as we'd had quite the adventurous holiday together. And after she gave us a hug, she gave both of us a nice, gentle little kiss. And then she walked over to the airport terminal door in order to be guided to her United States of America flight from Zagreb International Airport. Then before long it was time for myself and David Scott to board our aeroplane flying back to London, to Gatwick Airport from Zagreb International Airport. And so we boarded our aeroplane, and obviously we were fairly conscious of the fact that the American Airlines flight had already taken off to go to America. And so we were on the aeroplane, but just as it was about to depart, we were like, "Well, David, I must say, what a holiday we had." He was like, yeah, no, it was a brilliant holiday. We should definitely do another one of these," David said. "Certainly another holiday abroad. If we do a holiday abroad, David," I was like, "shall we go to Guernsey next and invite Tommy Gardiner, Thomas Scarvioli, Peter Mackett and Ian Postlethwaite?" He was like, "That's not a bad idea, mate," David said, but let's ask them first, because they might be apprehensive, all that, but yeah. That seems like an interesting idea," David said. I very much agreed with David's words, but was certainly hoping we would do that. "We should include Vecchio as well," I suggested as well. And David, thinking carefully about it, couldn't agree more. Before long our aeroplane took off, and whilst we took off, David was like, "I think we're going to need to go on a diet when we go back to England, Foxy, mate," David said. "We've eaten quite a lot of food whilst we were on holiday, and I think we've put on quite a bit of weight to the point where we need to lose it." "Yes, I certainly agree, David. Though we got magnificent motors, we are eating out at the Eastbourne restaurant you quite like for the nice rarebit meal. But I think once that's done, the rarebit meal, and then going out for a few pints with Peter Mackett as well, it will be time to diet after that." I said, yeah, no, we'll still do that, mate, but once we've done that, then it's time to go on for a diet for a bit of time till we've lost a satisfactory amount of weight, David said, and I certainly could not agree with David more. Quite a fair few hours had passed, and once the fair few hours had passed, we landed at Gatwick Airport. And we landed in Gatwick Airport, we picked up our luggage after we got off our aeroplane into the security border checks, picked up our luggage, and once that was done, we walked out to the main exit of the Gatwick Airport. And so we walked out of the airport, and after we walked out of the airport we got on the train. And so I boarded the train with David, but obviously David was to get out at Haywards Heath to get his train to Lewes, and then get out at Lewes and get the train from Lewes to Seaford. But my train luckily was direct to Hove, so I was all right. And so we got on the train, but when we got to Haywards Heath, it was time to say goodbye to David at Haywards Heath. He was like, "Okay mate, well see you Saturday at Magnificent Motors Eastbourne." "Okay," I said. "Okay David," I said as we shook hands. I said, "It was certainly a fantastic holiday." I said, Yeah, we'll do another abroad holiday, say this time next year," David said. I was like, "Excellent David, I shall certainly look forward to it," I said. He was like, "Okay, goodbye matey." David said, "Goodbye David," I said, and so David respectfully got off the train, and then before long the train departed and I waved out to David from the window. And as the train was on the way back to home, I had a little daydream reminiscing of what a wonderful holiday myself, David Scott and Sue Vecchio had when going to Croatia. The end. Well, this is the very final part of the story, and this is it. This is the Zagreb Croatian holiday done, fictionally done by myself, David Scott and Sue Vecchio. Even though it did not happen in real life, this is the end of it. This is the end of the story now. But obviously not the end of the series. No, but the end of the Zagreb holiday story. Thanks everybody indeed for watching, and I shall certainly see you in the very next video. Ta-ta, another time. From Foxy.